A very sad story of the day. But I think it has ramifications post the 2020 election. And I think it's the 2020 election that led to today's events. I'm sorry, 2024 election. And I'm going to talk about it why after this. So Andy No just posted this out a little while ago saying that the shooter has been identified as Natalie Lynn Rupnow. And Natalie Lynn Rupnow is a 15-year-old female student, and she carried out the mass tragic event at the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin. A teacher and a student were also killed. 6 others were wounded, 2 with life-threatening injuries, and we won't know the final count probably till tomorrow because those who are wounded are still in surgery at this point, and we don't know, depending on age, severity of wound, or whatever the case may be, if they will make it through the night. So the purported sneak peek of her manifesto was posted on her Discord account, where she discussed a desire to kill all males in a rant inspired by fringe extremist online culture. A screenshot was posted on X by a person who was on her Discord as a friend. The account posted a mirror selfie photo of Rupnow. Now, there's a person that has apparently, take this all with a grain of salt, on in today's news cycle, but there's somebody who supposedly says that they contacted the boyfriend of the shooter, and that photo that is being passed around has actually been doctored in order to make her look more mannish. Why? Because there is this other purported rumor that she is a trans, she's a troon, she is a girl who thinks she is a male, and that is apparently not correct. She is a female who thought she was a female. She just hated males. And I'll just jump right into it. This is a direct result of the psychosis or the disease that is been feminism, or with whatever you want to call it. Let's just assign it to feminism to make it a little bit easier, and I'll make myself a little bigger on this point. So let's assign it to feminism because that is the main ideology that has permeated through schools and media and other things the minds of women, young and old, in this union. And it was kicked up to 12 during this election cycle. What were the things that the Democratic candidates were running on? They were running on abortion. You had Oprah Winfrey in the final days of the election saying, Trump's going to take your rights away. Essentially, she was echoing the old Joe Biden, they're going to put you all back in chains line. And I believe, and you won't be able to make this stick with anything else, but I believe that this attack was perpetrated or was kicked into high gear due to what happened on in the November election. I think the election of Trump sent this girl, off the deep end, considering she had probably been told online through TikTok and Instagram or X, the circles that she ran in, that this was absolutely the end, that she was going to get put in the Handmaid's Tale, and her rights were going to be stripped from her, and she won't be able to murder children and all these other things, and it's terrible, and the end is nigh. So what you had was what happened today, and in case you're just joining us here on Rickcast, this is what happened today.
10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter. We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student or any other identifying remarks about the student. 2 other people have died. That died were a teacher and a teenage student. 6 other people were injured. 2 students are now in critical condition in the hospital, and these injuries are considered life-threatening injuries. 4 students are also at other area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. But these are just the physical injuries that we know about. We know that this was the middle of the day, of a school day, and so there will be other injuries.
All right, this guy, one thing that needs to be known is that this event took place in Madison, Wisconsin, which is the bluest of the blue areas in Wisconsin. And to have a sheriff in that area means that he's going to be super far to the left, which is why he didn't want to reveal the age or the gender, quote unquote, of the shooter, which led everybody to say, oh, it's a Troon, it's this, it's that, blah, 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 blah. When it was just a young teenage girl who I'm sticking with, and this is nobody else's um, theory but mine. But the girl's name is Natalie Lynn Rupnow. And I know there are people like, don't say the name of the shooter, blah, 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 blah. If that was the case, you guys have done it, and they still do it. I don't think this woman was, well, she was, but she had a long, disturbing history online of being obsessed with school shooters and death. She used the moniker Cross IXR. If I'm saying that wrong, let me know online. Rupnow's Cash App account is the picture of the Columbine shooters. She had an account on Watch People Die where she commented on those videos. Her Spotify list features themes of suicide and killings. And these are some of the pictures that were found attached to some of her social media. As you can tell, it does not look like she is a trans person. She has a manifesto that is apparently 6 pages long. I'm not going to read it because they're pretty much like every other manifesto. And so then you have other things from her Discord. And then finally, this was her playlist that she was using on Spotify. So obviously, this girl was troubled. This girl was hurting. She felt that her family didn't love her or want her, according to another person who has reached out to the boyfriend of the shooter, that her parents didn't love her or whatever the case may be. And so it's all right, my friend. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you. And so it's a sad event because I think this poor girl didn't feel like she had anywhere to go. She didn't have anybody to relate to, and she was put into hyper fear mode due to feminist talking points and feminist ideology saying Trump is going to kill you. Trump is going to take away your rights. Trump is here. It's the Handmaid's Tale, all the stuff I said before. And so she decided that this was the thing that needed to be done. And especially on the week before Christmas, we're less than 10 days away from Christmas. And the fact that this took place during this time, I think, is very significant as well. All of these things added up. I think all of these things added up for this tragedy to unfold. Now, people say, well, let's just get to the next one. So that is who the shooter is. That is some of her motivation behind it. Nobody else is putting that out there. That I believe this is something to do with the election. Maybe other people will. If they do, just make sure you know where you heard it here first, if I can say the words right. And so, of course, the White House was quiet after Luigi Mangione gunned down an innocent person in cold blood. In fact, now he's being celebrated, and people are putting tattoos of him on their bodies, and people are cheering him on at raves, and all these other things that are taking place. And the Biden regime on their way out the door coming out saying, oh, we need to have gun control, and oh, we need to have this and that. So you can't play it both ways. You can't celebrate Luigi Mangione murdering somebody in cold blood because it lines up with your political ideology, and then turn around and say, well, no, this is bad. We can't do this. This is something that needs to stop. We need to have gun control. It's either all or nothing. And in my case, it's nothing. Gun control should never be and never will be a solution, because that place that took, well, let's just look at some of the things. Schools are gun-free zones. Nothing you can do about that. That's federal law. 2, unless you can get written consent from the schools, like there's some rural schools in Texas that allow teachers to carry and things like that. But that's very, very often not the case. The second thing that we have to take a look at is the shooter's age. It's conflicting. Some say she was 17. Some say she was 15. Guess what, folks? She used a pistol, not the deadly AR-15. She used a pistol, meaning she couldn't get access to it at all. She couldn't get access to a long rifle anyway, even if she was 17. But a pistol is a federal thing. Once again, you can't get a pistol until you're 21 years old. There's nothing you can do around that. 18 for a long gun, 21 for a handgun. So those are two laws right there. Didn't do a thing. Didn't stop this in any way, shape, or form. How did she get the gun? According to her boyfriend, she was able to get the weapons through lies, manipulation, and her father's stupidity. So it is something that took place there. The Biden regime comes out and says, oh, we need to have gun control. No, you don't, because you can't promote Luigi Mangione and then say, well, this is bad. And of course, you've got Gun Violence Archive and you got the K through 12, all these other Bloomberg funded anti-gun organizations talking about 200 shootings a year on a campus, 322. They throw out all these numbers. Their methodology is crap and they don't know what they're talking about. They really don't. All they know is that anything that takes place close to a school, near a school, they will count as a shooting on a school ground. So there's nothing more to that except it is propaganda of the highest form to try and make you scared into giving up your guns, which you should never do in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, that's pretty true. They can and they do. They can and they do celebrate it because nobody pushes back on it. There's no media to hold them accountable. And it'll be interesting to see how this is memory hold because it is a female. It's not somebody who has gender dysphoria, so they can't use that. And it is a rare female shooter because most of the assailants in these cases are male. Most of them are. So for it to be a female in this case is especially interesting and especially tragic. It's always tragic when these things happen. But to have this take place, I feel, shows that this aggressive gender divide that the media and the left-wing party in this country have been trying to do, they were successful in doing it. And they are driving women even more to the point of violence because they feel that they are not able to express themselves any other way because they lost at the ballot box. So for any of you who are just joining us, the suspect is named Natalie Lynn Rupnow, a 15-year-old female who carried out the shooting at the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin today. Right now, the latest report is a teacher and a student were killed, 6 were wounded, and 2 with life-threatening injuries. It depends on who you talk to. There's not going to be an official account until they actually call a press conference and they actually give the official number because people do different methodologies. They include the shooter. They don't include the shooter. It's really strange how they do these kinds of things. And that's why in emergency situations, communication is so key. One of the things they tell you is you must communicate with the public the particulars of an incident so you don't have things like what's happening take place. All right. Like I said, it was not going to be a fun story off the top that talking about the tragedy that took place in Wisconsin this time of year. Another Christian school targeted because she also said that she wanted to kill Christians, that she wanted to go after Christians specifically. And she was a student at this school as well. Do those two things are they linked? Did she want to go after Christians because of it? Would it have happened if she was at a public school? Nobody will know.